the paradox of chaos. There is a dangerous illusion that most of us carry, a heavy stone invisible to the naked eye, but crushing to the spirit. It is the belief that peace is a destination. We convince ourselves that calmness is a place we will arrive at only when the world stops spinning, when the bank account is full, when the children are quiet, when the emails stop flooding in, and when the people around us finally behave the way we want them to. We wait for the storm to end so that we may finally breathe. But I am here to tell you that this is a trap. If you wait for the world to be perfect before you allow yourself to be peaceful, you will die waiting. The world is not designed to be still. It is designed to move, to break, to shift, and to challenge. The chaos is not an error in the system. The chaos is the nature of reality. So, the question is not how to stop the storm. The question is, how do you build a shelter within yourself that no wind can tear down? How do you forge a mind so stable, so diamond, hard in its clarity, that even if the ground beneath you splits open, you remain standing? Today, we are going to walk through 10 ancient pillars of wisdom. These are not merely ideas. They are tools of the mind, forged in the fires of centuries of introspection. We are going to deconstruct the mechanics of suffering and rebuild the architecture of your consciousness. By the time we reach the final lesson, you will understand that true calmness is not an escape from life, it is the ultimate mastery over it. Pillar 1 of the sacred gap. Let us begin with the biology of reaction. Consider the last time you lost your temper. Perhaps it was a sharp word from a spouse, a sudden error at work, or a driver cutting you off in traffic. In that split second, what happened? There was a trigger, and immediately there was an explosion. It feels automatic. It feels like the match was struck, and the gunpowder ignited instantly. But the masters of the mind teach us this is an optical illusion. There is no such thing as an instant reaction. Between the stimulus, the thing that happens, and your response, what you do about it, there is a space. It may be microscopic, a fraction of a heartbeat, but it is there. This space is the most valuable territory in the universe. In that tiny gap lies your freedom. When you are unaware, the gap is closed, and you are a slave to your impulses. You are a puppet, and the world pulls your strings. Someone insults you. You get angry. Something breaks, you get sad. You are a machine of cause and effect. The first step to an unshakable mind is to widen that gap. You must train yourself to inhabit the space between the event and the emotion. How do you do this? You do it with the breath. When the crisis hits, when the adrenaline spikes, you do not speak. You do not move. You freeze time. You take one breath. You feel the cool air hitting the back of your throat. You feel the expansion of your ribs. You take a second breath. You notice the heat rising in your chest. You take a third breath. You look at the anger, but you do not become the anger. In those 3 breaths, you step off the train of destruction. You move from the reptilian brain, which only knows how to fight or flee, into the higher mind, which knows how to observe and understand. This pause is not passivity, it is an act of supreme power. It is the warrior lowering his sword to see the battlefield clearly before he strikes. Practice this sacred pause, and you will stop burning bridges that took you years to build. Pillar 2, the geometry of impermanence. Why do we suffer? Why does the heart ache with anxiety? It is because we are fighting a war against the laws of physics. We want things to stay. We want the happy moment to freeze in amber. We want our youth to last forever. We want our loved ones to never change. We want security. But the Buddha taught the law of Anicca, or impermanence. Look at the natural world. The flower blooms only to wither. The mountain is slowly worn down by the wind into sand. The river you look at today is not the river you looked at yesterday. The water has moved on. Even the cells in your body are dying and being reborn every second. You are not a solid statue, you are a flowing process. When we resist this flow, we create friction. Imagine holding a rope that is being pulled by a runaway horse. If you grip it tighter, your hands will burn and bleed. If you let it slide, you remain whole. Anxiety is simply the friction of gripping the rope of reality when it wants to move. To cultivate a positive, calm mind, you must align yourself with the truth of change. When you are in a moment of joy, drink it in fully, knowing it will pass. This makes the moment precious. When you are in a moment of pain, breathe through it, knowing it, too, will pass. This gives you endurance. Nothing has come to stay. Everything has come to pass. When you accept that the nature of life is movement, you stop trying to build a stone castle on a cloud. You learn to ride the wind instead of shouting at it. You become fluid. And what is fluid cannot be broken. Pillar 3, the illusion of control. Let us look deeply at the source of your stress. If you dissect your worries, you will find that 90% of them revolve around things that are not in your hands. You worry about what your boss thinks. You worry about the economy. You worry about the weather on your wedding day. You worry about the past, which is a gi, and the future, which is a fantasy. There is a profound liberation in understanding the dichotomy of control. Imagine an archer standing in a field. He holds a bow. He can choose the quality of the wood. He can craft the arrow with precision. He can train his muscles to be strong. He can aim with perfect focus. He can choose the exact moment to release the string. But the moment the arrow leaves the bow, it no longer belongs to him. A sudden gust of wind might blow it off course. The target might move. A bird might fly in the path. If the archer ties his self-worth to the arrow hitting the bullseye, he will be a nervous wreck. But if he finds his satisfaction in the perfection of his form and the sincerity of his effort, he is free. You are the archer. Your actions, your intentions, your words, and your character, these are the bow and string. They are yours to command. The outcome, how people react, whether you win or lose, whether you get the praise or the blame, that is the flight of the arrow. It belongs to the universe. When you try to control the flight of the arrow, you become anxious. When you focus only on your own form, you become masterful. Stop trying to steer the storm. Just sail your ship. This is the essence of equanimity, a mind that is balanced regardless of whether the arrow hits or misses, because the effort was true. Pillar 4, the texture of reality. Most people are sleepwalking. They are physically present, but their minds are traveling. You are sitting at breakfast, but your mind is in a meeting that happens 3 hours from now. You are driving home, but your mind is reliving an argument from 3 years ago. You are never here. Because you are never here, you never actually experience life. You experience a mental projection of life, a gray shadow of reality. This disconnection creates a subtle, humming anxiety, a feeling that life is slipping through your fingers like water. Mindfulness is not just a buzzword, it is the act of waking up. It is the decision to inhabit the present moment with your entire being. It is the ability to feel the texture of the steering wheel under your palms. It is the ability to taste the bitterness and the sweetness of your coffee, to really taste it, not just swallow it while checking your phone. When you bring your attention to the present, the psychological noise vanishes. Why? Because the past and the future only exist in your thoughts. They do not exist in the sensation of your feet touching the floor. They do not exist in the of the rain. Practice this in the mundane moments. When you wash the dishes, do not wish to be finished. Feel the warmth of the water. Feel the slickness of the soap. Listen to the clatter of the porcelain. Make the act of washing a bowl as sacred as a prayer. When you walk, just walk. When you listen, just listen. By anchoring yourself in the sensory reality of the now, you cut the fuel line to the anxiety engine. You return to the only place where peace is possible, here, right now. Pillar 5, Alchemical compassion. Anger is a poison you drink expecting the other person to die. When you hold on to resentment, when you replay the tapes of how someone wronged you, you are burning down your own house to kill a rat. It disturbs your sleep, it spikes your cortisol, it clouds your judgment. The antidote to this poison is compassion. But be careful, compassion is not weakness. It is not agreeing with bad behavior. It is not becoming a doormat. Compassion is a high-level form of understanding. It is X-ray vision into the human condition. When someone attacks you, when someone is rude or cruel, the natural instinct is to see them as a monster. But the wise mind looks deeper. The wise mind asks, what kind of suffering is this person carrying to make them act this way? Happy people do not attack others. Peaceful people do not try to destroy peace. Only people who are in pain, who are confused, who are fighting their own demons, lash out. When you realize that the person screaming at you is actually screaming at their own internal shadow, the insult loses its sting. It stops being personal. You stop seeing a powerful enemy and you start seeing a wounded animal caught in a trap. You can silently say to them, may you be free from your suffering. May you find peace. This is not for their benefit, it is for yours. It protects your heart from hardening. It keeps your vibration high. It turns the heavy lead of anger into the gold of understanding. This is the alchemy of the spirit. Pillar 6, the optical shift. The human brain has a filter called the reticular activating system. Its job is to show you what you are looking for. If you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. If you believe the world is a L place, your brain will highlight every frown, every rude comment, and every tragedy to prove you right. Negativity is often just a lazy habit of the eye. We focus on the one thing that is missing and ignore the 1,000 things that are present. You have a toothache, and suddenly your whole life is miserable, and you forget that your heart, your lungs, your liver, and your eyes are working perfectly. Gratitude is the manual override of this system. It is the deliberate training of the mind to hunt for the good. It is not about pretending that bad things don't happen. It is about realizing that light and dark coexist, and you have the power to choose where to aim your spotlight. Every evening, perform this ritual. Do not just think it to write it down. Ink on paper has power. Write down 3 things that went right. Not huge things you don't need to win the lottery. Write down the coffee was warm. The sun hit the window. I have air in my lungs. When you do this, you are rewiring the neural pathways of your brain. You are training your mind to scan the environment for resources, for beauty, for safety. Over time, this becomes automatic. You become a person who naturally sees the opportunity in the crisis, the lesson in the failure, and the beauty in the chaos. You become a magnet for positivity because you are broadcasting the signal of abundance. Pillar 7, Aerodynamics of the soul. We live in an age of suffocation. We are suffocated by things, by information, by choices, by notifications. Our minds are like rooms hoarded with junk. There is no space to move, no space to breathe. A cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. A complicated life leads to a complicated spirit. The Buddha lived with almost nothing, yet he possessed everything. He taught that true freedom comes from simplicity. This is not about poverty. It is about aerodynamics. It is about removing the friction that drags you down. Look at your life. Look at your physical space. Are you surrounded by objects that bring you no joy, objects that you only keep out of guilt or habit? Clear them out. The act of cleaning your room is a spiritual exorcism. As you remove the physical clutter, you will feel a weight lift from your shoulders. Look at your digital life. How many voices are you letting into your head every day? How many news feeds? How many influencers? How many opinions? Silence the noise. Unsubscribe. Turn off. Create a sanctuary of silence. Look at your desires. We run on a treadmill of more. We think, if I just get the new phone, the new car, the promotion, then I will be calm. But the finish line keeps moving. Step off the treadmill. Find contentment in enough. When you need less afraid of losing. When you desire less, you are less vulnerable to disappointment. Simplicity is the ultimate armor. Pillar 8, the vibration of the Sangha. You are not a solitary island. You are a porous sponge, constantly absorbing the energy, the attitudes, and the vibrations of the people around you. If you hang around 5 people who are constantly complaining, who see themselves as victims, who gossip and spread fear, you will become the 6th. It is inevitable. Their skepticism will leak into your bloodstream. The Buddha placed immense importance on the Sangha, the community of the wise. He said that keeping company with the wise is not just part of the holy life. It is the whole of the holy life. You must be ruthless with your environment. This does not mean you treat people unkindly, but you must protect the gates of your mind. If someone is dumping their toxic waste into your consciousness, you must distance yourself. You must set boundaries. Seek out those who are further along the path than you. Seek out people who are calm when things go wrong. Seek out people who speak of ideas, not other people. Seek out people who laugh easily and forgive quickly. Their energy is contagious. Just being near a calm person can lower your heart rate. And if you cannot find such people in your physical life, find them in books, in podcasts, in teachings. Let the voice of the masters be the voice you listen to. Surround yourself with the vibration you wish to embody, and you will naturally tune yourself to that frequency. Pillar 9 of the Obstacle is the Guru. Here is the master key to resilience. Most people look at problems as interruptions to their life. They think, I was doing so well, And then this bad thing happened. They see the challenge as an enemy blocking their path. The Vajrayana strategy flips this upside down. The problem is not the enemy. The problem is the teacher. The obstacle is the path. If you go to a gym and the weights are heavy, do you complain? Do you say, "Why is gravity working against me?" No. You know that the resistance is what builds the muscle. You welcome the heaviness because you understand its purpose. Life is a gymnasium for the soul. The difficult boss is your trainer in patience. The financial crisis is your trainer in innovation and simplicity. The heartbreak is your trainer in compassion and self-reliance. Without these teachers, you would remain weak, fragile, and undeveloped. When a problem arises, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That is the victim's mantra. Ask instead, "What is this trying to teach me? How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate?" When you view the world this way, you become invincible. You are no longer afraid of bad days, because bad days are just heavy lifting days. You take the stones thrown at you, and you build a fortress. You take the mud, and you grow a lotus. Pillar 10, the laboratory of silence. Finally, we come to the practice that ties everything together. You cannot learn to swim by reading a book about water. You must get wet. You cannot learn to control your mind by listening to me talk about it. You must sit down and observe it. Meditation is the laboratory of the self. It is the daily hygiene of the consciousness. Just as you shower to clean your body, you must meditate to clean your mind of the dust of confusion and the grime of stress. It does not need to be mystical. It does not need to be religious. It is simply the act of sitting down, closing your eyes, and turning your attention inward. For 10 minutes a day, you become the witness. You watch your thoughts rise and fall like waves on the ocean. You do not judge them. You do not chase them. You just watch. In this practice, you discover a profound truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky in which the clouds of thought pass. The clouds may be dark, they may be stormy, they may be lightning-filled. But the sky is never damaged by the clouds. The sky remains vast, open, and untouched. When you meditate, you identify with the sky, not the weather. This creates a deep, unshakable stability. When you stand up from your cushion, you carry that stability into the traffic, into the office, into the argument. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind. You are the mountain that breaks the wind. The final truth becoming the ocean. Let us synthesize these teachings into a single image. Zen masters often say, "Be like the ocean." Look at the surface of the sea. It is chaotic. There are crashing waves, foaming whitecaps, storms, and winds. This is your daily life. The bills, the noise, the conflicts, the unexpected changes. You cannot stop the waves. To try to stop the waves is madness. But if you sink just 5 meters below the surface, the water is calmer. If you go deep, down to the bottom of the ocean, there is total silence. There is total stillness. The storm raging above does not disturb the deep water. You are the whole ocean. Most people live only on the surface, tossed around by every wave, seasick and terrified. But through the practice of the pause, the acceptance of impermanence, the wisdom of letting go, and the power of meditation, you deepen your awareness. You sink your roots into the depth of your being. You realize that while the surface of your life may be turbulent, the core of who you are is untouched. You can feel fear and still be calm. You can be in a chaotic situation and still be the eye of the storm. This is the promise of the Buddhist path. It is not a promise that life will be easy. It is a promise that you can be strong. It is not a promise that you will never feel pain. It is a promise that you will not be destroyed by it. So, tomorrow morning, when you wake up, do not hope for a perfect day. Hope for a present mind. Take your 3 breaths. Look at the world with compassion. Let go of what you cannot hold, and stand tall like a mountain, like the ocean, like a diamond, unbreakable, brilliant, and deeply, profoundly at peace. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If these words have added a layer of armor to your spirit, if they have lit a lamp in a dark room, please honor this exchange. Like the video to help this signal reach others who are drowning in the noise. Comment below with the words, "I am the ocean," to seal this intention in your mind. And subscribe to join us as we continue to explore the architecture of wisdom. Stay calm, stay powerful, and let the ripples of your peace change the world.